Endless runners used to be my everything. When I first got my iPad, you could find me day in and day out playing Subway Surfers, Temple Run, and any other version of the concept you could find on the App Store at the time. I also know that Sonic the Hedgehog has an egregious amount of spin-off series under its belt. So when I discovered that Sonic has his own series of Endless Runner games, it was like my two worlds were colliding. And with how much fun I had looking at the Nintendo and Pokemon apps, I figured it was a good idea to hop into a corner of the Sonic ones. So without further ado, let's get started. Sonic Dash is a pretty standard Endless Runner game. I thought the graphics were really smooth, along with the gameplay. The roster of characters is pretty impressive, and I was shocked to see the fairly comprehensive upgrade system. My one issue with the upgrade system, though, is the fact that occasionally, even if you have all the needed cards and rings for the upgrade, it still makes you watch an ad to move to the next upgrade level. I just thought that was kind of annoying, because I understand watching an ad if you didn't have enough resources, but not forcing me to watch one even if I don't need the resources. I originally thought the environments were a little too repetitive, but as I've progressed further and unlocked new zones, that issue solved itself after a while and was actually a nice variety. This variety even includes bosses, which unfortunately in my gameplay I only found Zaz and Eggman, and I'm actually pretty sure they're the only two. I love the little detail that they have the name of the game they came from next to their names, but I wish that the boss fights played differently, as no matter which character you get first or if you fight both of them in one run, they both play the exact same way. Still cool that they're here though. My favorite aspect though was the adorable side area that was unlocked after a bit, where you can spend the gems you get from the runs, building a cute little utopia for the animals you save by defeating enemies. It gives a nice purpose to going out of your way to defeat the enemies while on the run, since you need to rescue a certain amount to keep building the environment. Solid start to the many endless runners we'll be covering in this video. Considering the property it's based on, this is actually a pretty good upgrade to the previous Sonic Dash. I like the extra characters, the new team mechanic, and the new grind rails. I really liked the idea of being able to use special paths to switch runners mid-run, and have each one with a unique power or move that gave a good amount of variety, especially when it came to the longer runs. The thing that I was missing the most was the boss fights, though. It may have been that I happened to miss them the whole time, but in all of the runs I completed, I did not come across any, even on my longer runs. I think this was a missed opportunity considering the new grind rails and hanging rails. If they do exist in the game, I wonder what their spawn rate is. Outside of the runs, though, I was a big fan of the special missions, which I guess is where the boss fights went, if anywhere. Another mechanic I thought was cool was the new addition of the sprites. They add different benefits and boosts to your run, and can add a bit of flavor when things get dull, the same way the character switching can. My one and only question, and honestly this must just be a Sonic lore thing, is why didn't they use the wisps? Maybe it's because the wisps don't exist in the Boom universe? I'm still learning my Sonic lore. Overall, this game was a pretty good experience. This game shares quite a bit with Dash 2, but does have some new aspects that I thought were really interesting. Instead of being an endless runner, it's a racing game. You match up with someone else online, and then try to make it to the finish as fast as possible. It was honestly a breath of fresh air after having played the other two, to have different gameplay styles and objectives. That was, until I played on and realized that compared to all the other ones, Forces was way more money hungry. Everything wanted me to pay for a microtransaction. Every time I finished a race, it would come up with another deal that the game was offering me. That was just the tip of the iceberg though, because one of my biggest gripes was the way that the prizes in the game work. Each day for signing in you get a daily gift, just like most other mobile games. Except for this game, you don't get the daily sign-in prize, it goes into Tails' vault, which you have to pay to open. Which honestly is just simply ridiculous. Beyond that, after each run, you get a chest based on what place you get in the race. But instead of being able to relish in your winning spoils, you have to open the chest, which takes 3 hours to do. Not to mention, you can only open one chest at a time, unless you want to spend your red rings. You can get red rings in the races, but you only get 1 to 2 max, and if you want more, you guessed it, you can spend your hard-earned money. It's just so all over the top that it ruined my experience of the game overall. Out of all the Dash games, skip this one. It isn't worth your time. This game kind of pissed me off, not because it's bad by any means, but because I had a much higher expectation for it. I was a really big fan of the Sonic Prime TV show, so I was expecting that this game would have the same interesting environments and character designs that the show had. Which it did have a few of, but really not enough to give this game any kind of identity. I assumed at first that the characters would be unique, given how large of a cast the show had, with all the different universe versions, but as I came to find out, all of the Prime skins are also available in the first Dash game. The two games are identical in every way. It doesn't even have new features like Dash 2 or Forces did. It's just the first Dash game with a new logo, and now it requires a Netflix subscription, whereas Dash is free. They didn't even bother to put new bosses in the game. It's still the same Eggman from Dash and Zaz, which makes even less sense here since he's not even a character in Prime the TV show. I don't know why this one exists, or why they decided not to put any effort into it. There was so much potential to this game, and if you're making people pay for it, I wish they had used some of that and given this game any kind of its own identity. Across all the games, minus Prime, I thought they had enough of their own identity and fun that you could feasibly keep all of them on your phone at once and still have enough variety to want to play all of them individually. This is a pretty cool addition to the Sonic mythos, and I'm happy I finally get to explore it. I even kept Dash and Dash 2 on my phone because I intend to keep playing them in my free time from here on out. Which mobile spin-offs do you want me to look at next? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can be there to see it. Thanks for watching!